Hello everyone, it's Shar with Flux. With this month's Flux Features, we have a very special guest this month, a singer-songwriter extraordinaire, Alyssa Garcia.
Hey,
Alyssa,
Shar.
why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Alyssa Garcia. It's my artist name and my real name. I am a singer-songwriter. I make pop music with indie, R&B, jazz influences. And I've been putting out music since I was about 13. And yeah, I put out an album, EPs, and I'm currently working on my second full length. And that's been like my quarantine project. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning. How did you come into the music scene? What was your inspirations growing up? I feel like I can assume you had a musical family growing up. So tell us a little bit about your origin story.
Ooh, origin. I love that. Oddly enough, my family is not too musical. I know my mom was in like chorus and stuff like that. My dad sang in a band like once. But they signed me up for piano lessons when I was about 5. And until I was about 11, I was classically trained. And then my teacher was actually a songwriter and a playwright. And he was like, "You have a lot of emotions. Why don't you, learn how to you're an emotional kid. You should learn how to write music." I was like, "Okay, we'll try this out." Um, so he taught me everything I know, and I've been writing since then. So 11, and I've just been singing in coffee shops and frozen yogurt shops. Oddly enough, that was a big one. And just yeah, expanding upon my art, and I'm still the same emotional kid with a little bit more knowledge behind all of the music making now. But yeah, that's where it
So
all started.
that's awesome. Obviously, like you're a crazy talented songwriter. Like I just
Thank
couldn't
you.
believe. I don't know. I feel like when I came into the school, you were like one of the first people I heard because of your movie placements and everything, which we'll get into later.
For sure.
But who are some artists that maybe inspire you not rhythm wise, excuse me, who inspire you like sound wise, but also lyrically?
Good question. Right now, her for sure. She's like the biggest influence in terms of like the new sound that I'm going for, and Arlo Parks, fantastic like storyteller of a songwriter. Um, and who else? Bene. I love her sound. How like quirky and poppy and fun it is. And of course, the new Taylor Swift albums were fantastic lyrically and storytelling wise. So yeah.
Yeah, are you would you consider yourself more so storyteller lyricist? Is that a thing? Right, that's a thing.
Yeah, 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 for
Okay.
sure. I tend to like tell stories about my own life and my own experiences. I kind of just write what I know,
Mhm.
um, and I really respect songwriters who can like write just like random stories
Yeah,
and
that's the
songs like
best.
that. But yeah, mostly like if I go through something, the way I'm gonna cope and like process it is to write about it. So
So you mentioned her, who I absolutely love, like that R&B soulful sound and everything. I saw her, met her kind of, and for the Grammy U event. I don't know if you were there for
oh,
that.
cool. No, I wasn't.
So that
Jealous.
was she was like honestly just seeing her how involved she is with like the stage production and everything was just like amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so you're a part of Grammy U, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so in addition to being a singer songwriting, music producing extraordinaire, you're also on the business side, right?
yeah.
So I feel like that's how I knew you when I got to know you the first time, like in school. I feel like I
Yeah, I
knew
think
you
so.
more so like on the business track. We were talking about business stuff all the time. So let's talk about some of your business experiences with Grammy U or whatever other businesses you're a part of.
Sure. So Grammy has been awesome. I joined freshman year because I heard all about it. I actually went to Grammy camp in high school, and from then, like the Grammys has always been a really cool organization that I've wanted to be a part of. So I'm actually a Grammy U ambassador. They've been awesome, especially during the pandemic. They've been holding a lot of like Grammy U networking events, so it doesn't feel so lonely sitting in your room. You can like connect with other creatives and stuff like that. Um, Most recently, I actually am starting a chapter called Girls Who Listen, or a chapter of an organization called Girls Who Listen, and it's this nonprofit. Um, they pretty much nurture and teach and learn, or teach female creatives and executives that are going to be in the music industry. And they're super awesome. They hold like panels similar to Grammy U, and it's for boys and girls. It's not just females. But yeah, it's going to be starting at Drexel. I think our official start date is today, actually. So we're going to start getting people to join and host some networking and programming events. So if you're interested, you should definitely let me know.
Yeah, why don't you let the people know where they could find more information about this?
Sure. You can go, there is a Girls Who Listen Facebook page. If you just look up Girls Who Listen, they have an awesome website with all of their info on there about what kind of events they have. Right now, they're doing a Girls Who Create series where it's pretty much for songwriters and producers to kind of network with each other and get to learn from some really cool industry professionals too. So yeah, just pretty much Google and then go from there.
Sounds good. That's actually something I wanted to look into as well. Like, it sounds
Sweet.
really interesting. The way you talk about it is so passionate. It makes me want to be a part of it.
Yes,
So
please
hopefully
join.
everyone will check that out and see what it's all about.
Yeah.
Okay, so next thing I wanted to talk about was something I touched on before was having your music placed in like everything. Let's why do how about you talk about like the first time one of your songs were placed and then like talk about the history of that happening.
Sure. So funny enough, my dad used to work in Allentown in the Lehigh Valley, and I was playing a gig there in the middle of the city, and one of his coworkers happened to tap him on the shoulder and pretty much say, "Hey, there's a movie being filmed locally, and they're looking for local music to be placed in it." So I knew nothing about movie placements back then. I think I was 15, and I had just put out my first album, and I submitted a few songs from that album, and the director actually called me probably a couple months later. I didn't think anything would come from it, but he surprised me, called me directly, and was like, "Look, these songs fit perfectly." He told me kind of the story behind the movie, which I didn't really know before I actually submitted the songs, and they fit so like miraculously. I still to this day don't know how it all happened and how perfect it was. I was really lucky and really blessed to have that opportunity. But yeah, the director's name was Daniel Roebuck, and he's been a godsend ever since. He's been making a lot of new movies, also filmed in the Lehigh Valley, that I've gotten to actually be a part of the like movie creation side. I got to see what it's like to film a movie and stuff like that, as well as learn more about music and the music placements. And from the first movie that my songs were placed in, it was called Getting Grace. I started to work with a music publishing company called Heavy Hitters Music in LA. And again, they were super nice. I was 15, I didn't know too much about the industry at all. So they were really respectable that they didn't, take advantage of me in any way. And they were really like honest and really good at teaching me kind of how contracts work and how placements work and stuff like that. So I signed a non-exclusive contract, and pretty much my songs are in their catalog, and every now and then they get placed in different TV shows and stuff like that. And the news that I'm excited to share, can't share the movie yet, but a movie that's going to be premiering on Netflix this year, my song actually got placed, and I think it's the biggest one so far. So hopefully that comes more often.
Oh my God, I just
Yeah.
got chills. That's so exciting. Oh
Thank you.
my God, congratulations. That's
Thank
like
you.
I've always thought like a song and a movie like everyone's gonna see that's on such a big scale. Like that's definitely something that I admire most about you and the like
Thank you.
how well you do have storytelling songs and it just fits so well in telling other stories too. So yeah, really, really excited for you and
That's
for
so
that new
sweet.
movie coming out.
Thank
I will
you.
definitely be on the lookout for that. I hope I will see when you post about it because
Oh
I'm
yeah,
really bad
I
at
post
watching
about
Netflix movies. Like all my roommates always try like, "Sure, did you see this? Yeah, blah blah blah," like talking about it as if
it.
I.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't.
Dude, I was the worst, and like I moved back home, and my mom's like obsessed with watching Netflix movies, so she's always like, "You have to sit down and watch this with me." So
Yeah, same. That's me and my mom always watched Filipino movies at home before
yes,
we're quarantined. Like there was just like this whole section of Tagalog movies, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
they're like getting more popular. I
But
gotta.
they're like good, like such cheesy little corny. Like I don't even have to think, and I could just watch this.
Yeah.
It's not even. I don't even know Tagalog like that, and it was just still so enjoyable.
I feel like you know more than me though, because like I can't speak, but I can like understand some.
Yeah, same, same, same.
Um,
It's that
but
American, born in
yeah,
America
yeah, yeah, yeah,
type.
exactly.
So you mentioned your first album, in which it came out, and then you had some songs placed from it. So I know you've had that album come out, and you're working on your second album right now, right? That you've started in this never-ending quarantine.
Yes.
So let's talk about your at-home music process and
Sure.
being stuck at home, like not having the option, having being stuck
Yeah.
at home and trying to find like inspiration for all your songs and stuff. So let's talk a little bit about your second album.
Sure. So it was definitely an adjustment period when I, moved back home and started to like build and recreate the studio back at my house. And I was lucky. I think finding inspiration, um, I think, well, quarantine could have gone one of two ways. I could like sit in my room and not be inspired at all, or, sit down and kind of like really think through who I am, what I've been through, and just write about it and kind of find inspiration in that. And I got really lucky that I got to start writing a lot more. Before quarantine, actually, I hadn't written for like a good 6 months. I hadn't been really putting out a lot of music. But once it started, I think that's what it took just to like sit me down in one spot and actually start making things. And that was the first step that kind of just um, was like a whole just waterfall of emotions and all that fun stuff. But it's been interesting. I've been listening to a lot more music, and that's helped with just finding a sound that I really like. Because I think before, a lot of my music was very acoustic, very much like folksy, and like, I don't know, I wasn't really experimenting too much with different sounds, but I got into Ableton, I got into Splice, I got into like using different samples and like creating this environment um, amidst like descriptive and exciting stories or sad stories or anything like that to kind of like build a whole room for a listener. And that's been something that like I've pretty much spent hours and hours just sitting in this very spot creating. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I was gonna say mention something. We did have that one songwriting class together over
yeah.
spring term, which feels like it was like
Oh my god,
years
it
ago.
feels
Like
weird.
I
Yeah.
recently like looked through my voice notes and I was like, wow, I really did write music against my own will. um, and I remember hearing one of your one of like well, I think it was one of the earlier projects. I'm not too sure. Like again, it's all a blur, but it was. I remember it being very different from what I'm used to. Like I've seen you live before, obviously, and stuff, and it was very acoustic and folksy, which I loved. Like your voice, your
Oh,
songwriting,
thank
obviously,
you.
like I loved that, and it was just amazing to see. Like it was like a glimpse of what's
Oh,
to come. So I'm really excited
thank
for
you.
this new album. Why don't you tell people what the vibe is of this new album?
Sure. It's kind of just what it's like to be 20 and like that stage in life. Because I turned 21 in quarantine and like I had a whole not crisis, but like a really like introspective nature about it and kind of just where am I going, where have I been, who am I now, and that's really what I've been writing about. To get like a better vibe, actually the two songs that I've released recently, "Running" and "This Is It," are actually going to be on the album, and that kind of gives you a feel for like it's not too cohesive. I think there's like fast songs, slow songs, and I think the thing that brings it all together is just um, learning who you are and learning what your value is and kind of coming into that self power is kind of what I'm writing the whole album about and trying to encompass it around. So I actually have a song coming out February 13th.
Yes, plug,
Yeah.
plug.
February 13th. It's called Isn't It Lonely? And I'm actually shooting my very first music video for it this Saturday. So that's going to be fun.
Exciting.
And yeah, it's a lot of firsts and a lot of like experimentation and doing things that were out of my comfort zone in the beginning, but now they just feel like really empowering and really freeing. So I'm really lucky to be connecting with other creatives that are willing to like help me with this project too. I'm actually working with a guy I went to high school with named Will Martinko. He's actually going to be directing the music video, and yeah, um, that's that's where I'm at right now.
Awesome. I'm so excited for you. It's going to be amazing, I'm sure. And on that note, while you're still plugging, we'll wrap it up and go plug your socials, your
Oh yes,
Spotify,
yes,
everything. So have at it.
sweet. So I'm most usually on Instagram, so you can find me on Instagram at Alyssa G Garcia. You're probably watching this on Instagram. And same thing on Facebook and YouTube. If you just look up Alyssa Garcia, I'll be there. And you can also go to my website at alyssaggarcia.com. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all those fun things. I think every streaming service you can probably think of, DistroKid does a very good job of including. So, yeah, be sure to check it out. And I'd love to connect with you all. Thank you for, tuning in and taking the time.
Yes, thank you so much for coming in, well, coming into Zoom, well, coming and talking with me, chatting, catching up. It's been a great talking to you. I've had such a good time hearing about what's happening and what's going to happen. I'm really excited.
For
And
sure.
yeah, everyone go check Alyssa out. Um, Lots of cool things happening. So thank you everyone for watching, and thank you, Alyssa, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you for taking the
course.
time.